The Mediterranean lifestyle has never looked more appealing, especially with everything happening in global travel right now. But here's what nobody tells you about moving to these picture-perfect coastal cities. The Instagram version and the reality of actually living there can be two completely different experiences. Some of these places have tourism scams that would make your head spin. Others are dealing with over-tourism backlash that's getting ugly. And a few have become so expensive they're pricing out the very culture that made them attractive in the first place. So today, we're cutting through the promotional nonsense and showing you 12 Mediterranean cities where you can actually settle in 2026, complete with the real costs, the hidden problems, and yes, the genuine advantages that still make them worth considering.
Number 12. Palermo, Italy. Sicily's capital has roughly 1 million people, and it's one of those places where you immediately feel the energy when you step off the plane. The historic markets, the Arab-Norman architecture, the street food scene, it all creates this atmosphere that's distinctly Sicilian, not just generically Italian. You've got the Mediterranean on one side and mountains surrounding the other three sides, which gives you options depending on your mood. Here's the practical reality. You can live here on about $2,350 a month for a two-bedroom apartment, plus all your regular expenses. That's roughly 60% less than Rome or Milan, which explains why more remote workers have been showing up lately. The city's airport is Italy's 6th busiest, so you're not stuck in some isolated corner. You can catch direct flights to most European cities without the usual three-connection nightmare. The food situation deserves its own mention because Sicilian cuisine isn't just Italian food with a tan. The seafood is incredibly fresh, the citrus grows locally, and the Arab influence on the cooking creates flavors you won't find in northern Italy. If you're someone who cares about what you eat, this matters more than you might think when you're living somewhere long-term. Now, the complications. Italian bureaucracy is real, and in Sicily, it can move at a pace that'll test your patience. You absolutely need basic Italian to function here. Not tourist phrases, actual conversational Italian. The locals aren't being difficult, they just don't speak much English outside the tourist bubble. Also, Palermo has had some petty crime issues. Nothing violent, typically, but you need to be aware of your surroundings, especially around the train station area. Day trips are easy from here, too. Mondello Beach is 20 minutes away, the town of Cefalù is about an hour, and you can explore the entire island using Palermo as your base.
Number 11. Malaga, Spain. Southern Spain's Andalusian coast has been a magnet for Northern Europeans for decades, but Malaga specifically has evolved beyond just a beach retirement town. This city has almost 3,000 years of history, layers of Roman, Moorish, and Spanish culture literally built on top of each other. You can see it walking through the streets where a first-century Roman theater sits next to Renaissance buildings. For a single person, expect monthly costs around $2,200 if you're living in the city center. Move 15 minutes outside the main hub, and that drops to about $1,800. The beaches here number at least a dozen within the city limits, all with that clear Mediterranean water and the infrastructure to support them properly, meaning actual facilities, not just a strip of sand. The quality of life metrics are genuinely high. Healthcare in Spain ranks among Europe's best, public transport connects everything efficiently, and crime rates stay low compared to similar-sized cities. The weather cooperates most of the year, giving you that outdoor lifestyle people imagine when they picture the Mediterranean. But let's address the tourism situation because it's getting complicated in Spain right now. Malaga has seen protests against over-tourism, with locals frustrated about rising rents and neighborhoods losing their character. In 2025, there were several incidents of tourists getting confronted, not violently, but the resentment is building. The city government has started restricting short-term rentals, which might actually help long-term residents, but it's created tension you should be aware of. Spanish bureaucracy can also be challenging, especially around residency permits and healthcare enrollment. Plan for things to take longer than promised and require more paperwork than seems reasonable.
Number 10. Antalya, Turkey.
Turkey's turquoise coast capital competes with Istanbul for tourist numbers despite being a fraction of the size. The old town, called Kaleiçi, has genuinely preserved Ottoman-era architecture, not the fake reconstructed stuff. The harbor area maintains charm without feeling like a theme park, and the surrounding coastline features some of the best beaches in the country. Monthly living costs run about $2,000 for a comfortable lifestyle, and that includes rent for a one-bedroom seafront apartment that rarely exceeds $1,000. English is widely spoken here because of the heavy tourism infrastructure, and there's a substantial international community, particularly Germans and Dutch who've been coming here for years. Antalya ranks as one of Turkey's safest cities for both tourists and residents, which matters given some of the security concerns in other parts of the country. The city feels stable and well-managed compared to the chaos you might encounter elsewhere. However, Turkey's economy has been volatile, with inflation affecting everyday costs unpredictably. The lira's exchange rate can work in your favor if you're earning dollars or euros, but prices for imported goods fluctuate wildly. In early 2025, there were reports of sudden price jumps in supermarkets that caught long-term residents off guard. Also worth mentioning, Turkish bureaucracy operates differently than European systems. Residency permits require patience and often inexplicable requirements that change without notice. The Facebook expat groups for Antalya are filled with stories of permit renewals that should take 2 weeks, stretching into 3 months. The surrounding resort towns like Belek and Side offer alternatives, but they're more isolated and can feel sterile outside peak season when half the restaurants close.
Number 9. Durrës, Albania. Albania has 2 main Mediterranean cities, Durrës and Vlorë, and while both work for long-term living, Durrës wins on connectivity. It's only 30 minutes from the capital Tirana, which means access to the international airport and better infrastructure overall. The city has been investing heavily in development, with improvements to roads, hospitals, and public services that have transformed it significantly over the past 5 years. The big headline is the Durrës Yacht and Marina project, a $2.5 billion development aiming to create a luxury destination. Whether that's good or bad depends on your perspective, but it signals serious investment in the area's future. Currently, monthly expenses including rent average about $1,600, and you can push that lower if you're willing to live slightly back from the beachfront. Albania remains one of Europe's most affordable countries, though prices have been creeping up as more people discover it. The beaches here are decent, not spectacular, but serviceable for regular Mediterranean access. The city itself doesn't have the historical depth of other Mediterranean locations, but it makes up for that with practicality and modern amenities. Here's what they don't advertise. Albania's bureaucracy can be opaque, operating on systems that aren't always transparent to foreigners. There have been reports of property scams targeting foreign buyers, particularly around beachfront developments. If you're considering purchasing property, you absolutely need a local lawyer who's not connected to the seller. The healthcare system is improving, but still lags behind Western European standards. Many expats travel to Tirana or even back to their home countries for serious medical issues. English is spoken by younger people, but not universally, and Albanian is a difficult language with no relation to Romance or Germanic languages. That said, Albanians are generally welcoming to foreigners, and the country is actively trying to attract international residents and investment.
Number 8. Patras, Greece. Greece's third-largest city sits in the northern Peloponnese with just under 200,000 people. It extends from the waterfront up to an old castle area, divided between the upper historic section and the lower modern city with parks and plazas throughout. Its location gives you access to the Greek islands, mountains, and countryside, all within reasonable distance. Patras functions as a major transportation hub, connecting mainland Greece to Italy via ferry and linking the Peloponnese to the Ionian Islands. This connectivity matters more than people realize when you're living somewhere long-term and want options for weekend trips. A monthly budget of $2,000 gets you a 2-bedroom apartment with a sea view, plus modern conveniences. The city has traditional tavernas that haven't been sanitized for tourists, a vibrant local market where actual residents shop, and solid healthcare infrastructure that serves the region. Greece's healthcare system is public and generally good, though it has been strained by economic challenges over the years. Many doctors speak English, which helps, and private care is available and affordable compared to U.S. standards. The authentic Greek experience here is a major draw. Unlike Santorini or Mykonos, Patras operates as a real city where people actually live and work, not a tourism stage set. You'll integrate into actual Greek life rather than floating in an expat bubble. The complications: Greece's economy has been unstable for over a decade, and while things have improved, bureaucracy remains Byzantine in every sense. Opening a bank account can take weeks, residency permits involve mountains of paperwork, and government offices often operate on schedules that seem designed to frustrate. Also, Patras doesn't have the stunning beauty of island locations. It's a working port city with industrial elements. If you're expecting postcard Greece, you'll be disappointed. If you want authentic Greek life at an affordable price, it delivers.
Number 7. Valencia, Spain. Spain's third-largest city, with about 840,000 people, has become genuinely expat-friendly, with nearly 130,000 foreign residents making up roughly 19% of the population. It attracts working expats, remote workers, and retirees equally, which creates a more balanced community than pure retirement destinations. Living costs run under $1,800 monthly, about 25 to 30% lower than Barcelona or Madrid. That includes rent, utilities, groceries, and regular expenses. The healthcare system is excellent, safety ratings are high, and locals have a reputation for being welcoming to foreigners. The World Health Organization has actually claimed Valencia has the ideal climate for year-round living. It's not as brutally hot as southern Spain in summer, not as wet as the north in winter. You get about 300 days of sunshine annually, without the extremes that make other Mediterranean cities uncomfortable half the year. The city offers both relaxed coastal living and active outdoor options. The Turia Gardens, a 9-kilometer park built in a former riverbed, runs through the city center. The beaches are actual good beaches, not just token waterfronts. The food scene includes authentic paella, which originated here, along with modern restaurants and a growing international food culture. But Spain's over-tourism backlash is real and affecting Valencia too. In 2025, there were protests about cruise ships and short-term rentals, with some tension between locals and foreigners. It hasn't turned hostile like some incidents in Barcelona, but the frustration is building. The regional government has been implementing restrictions on tourist rentals, which might actually benefit long-term residents by stabilizing the rental market. Spanish bureaucracy applies here as everywhere in Spain. Getting your residency paperwork sorted requires patience and often multiple trips to government offices. The healthcare system, while excellent, requires proper enrollment and understanding how the public system works. Learning Spanish isn't technically mandatory, but it dramatically improves your experience. Many locals speak some English, but daily life runs in Spanish, and integration without the language is limited.
Number 6. Limassol, Cyprus. Cyprus's second-largest city sits on the southern coast, with abundant historical sites nearby and fabulous beaches, including a 7-kilometer seafront promenade. It's one of the warmest Mediterranean destinations, with summer temperatures hitting 25 to 37 degrees Celsius regularly, which is either a selling point or a warning depending on your heat tolerance. About a fifth of residents are foreign nationals, giving Limassol a genuinely metropolitan feel. Many international companies, particularly in tech and finance, have offices here. English is widely spoken, and the business environment caters for international professionals. The catch is cost. Limassol ranks as Cyprus's most expensive city. A couple should budget around $3,200 monthly. Rent drives most of this expense, especially near the sea. Food, transportation, and utilities align with the rest of Cyprus, but housing costs are significantly higher. Cyprus operates as an EU member, but uses different systems than mainland Europe in some ways. The healthcare is good, mixing public and private options. Many expats opt for private insurance, which is affordable by U.S. standards, but an added cost. The international atmosphere makes Limassol especially attractive for English-speaking professionals, but it can feel less authentically Cypriot than other parts of the island. You're living in an international business hub that happens to be in Cyprus, not necessarily experiencing traditional Cypriot life. There have been some reports of tension between the international business community and locals, particularly around property prices and gentrification. Some neighborhoods have transformed significantly, pricing out Cypriot residents. It hasn't created the level of backlash seen in Spain, but it's simmering underneath. The weather is reliably good, almost too reliable. If you need seasonal variation for your mental health, the endless summer might actually become monotonous. Some expats report feeling unmoored without traditional seasons marking time.
Number 5. Naples, Italy. This city operates as the gateway to the Amalfi Coast, Capri, and Pompeii, surrounded by some of the Mediterranean's most stunning destinations. The greater metro area exceeds 2.1 million people, which means it can feel cramped and chaotic, especially in the historic center. Naples has a raw energy unlike any other Italian city. The street art scene is vibrant and sometimes controversial. The food culture is legendary as the birthplace of pizza, and the city operates with an intensity that's either exhilarating or exhausting depending on your personality. Monthly costs range from $1,500 to $2,800, depending heavily on neighborhood choice. Some areas where mainly locals live operate on budgets as low as $800 monthly, but those neighborhoods come with significant drawbacks and almost no foreign residents. There's usually a reason areas are that cheap. The major economic issue is unemployment. Naples has one of Italy's highest unemployment rates, so if you're an expat looking for local work, this isn't your city. However, remote workers, freelancers, and people with income from elsewhere can thrive here on the lower cost of living. The Neapolitan pizza and gelato are genuinely superior, not just tourist marketing. The food culture takes ingredients and simplicity seriously in ways that have been commercialized elsewhere. If food matters to your quality of life, this is a legitimate consideration. However, Naples has a reputation for petty crime, particularly scooter-based bag snatching and pickpocketing. It's not a violent city generally, but you need awareness. There have been incidents of tourists getting scammed, particularly around the train station and tourist sites. The classic scams: fake tickets, inflated restaurant bills in tourist areas, unlicensed taxis charging absurd rates. The city also deals with garbage collection issues that occasionally make international news. It's better than it was a decade ago, but it's not fully resolved. Some neighborhoods still experience periodic problems. Traffic and noise are intense. If you need peace and quiet, Naples will break you. The city operates at a volume and pace that some people love and others can't tolerate.
Number 4. Palma de Mallorca, Spain. The capital of Spain's Mallorca island has transformed from a charming town into a global lifestyle destination, attracting high-net-worth individuals and global elites buying property and relocating. This transformation has driven prices notoriously high for everything: accommodation, groceries, utilities, eating out. In peak summer, the city is absolutely packed with tourists, which further inflates already expensive prices. A couple needs at least $4,000 to $5,000 monthly for a comfortable lifestyle. That's double or triple other Spanish cities we've discussed. What you get for that cost is access to beautiful beaches perfect for swimming and sunbathing, several golf courses, opportunities for hiking and cycling in the nearby Tramontana Mountains, and genuinely lively nightlife with high-end restaurants, bars, and clubs. There's a vibrant expat community, particularly retirees from the US, UK, and Germany. This community actively organizes social events and provides networking opportunities, which matters when you're establishing life in a new place. The island has been at the center of Spain's over-tourism debate.
In 2024 and 2025, there were significant protests by locals about the impact of mass tourism and foreign property buyers on housing costs and local culture. Some of these protests specifically targeted tourist areas, and there have been incidents of tourists finding their rental cars vandalized or encountering hostile reactions. The local government has implemented restrictions on tourist rentals and is considering limits on visitor numbers, but this has created tension between the tourism-dependent economy and locals' quality of life. If you're planning to move here, understand you're entering a community dealing with these tensions. The summer crowds are genuinely overwhelming. If you're someone who values space and quiet, you'll need to either leave the island in July and August or accept that life becomes difficult during peak season. Winter is dramatically quieter, with many businesses closing entirely. The island basically operates on two modes: overwhelmed summer and semi-dormant winter. Finding the balance requires adjustment.
Number 3. Genoa, Italy. Set on the Italian Riviera in the Liguria region, Genoa sits between steep hills in the Mediterranean, combining natural beauty with architectural heritage. Despite proximity to the more famous French Riviera, Genoa remains relatively affordable compared to its neighbors. Rent for a two-bedroom apartment ranges from $800 to $1,600. Monthly food and groceries run $400 to $600, and utilities add another $500. Overall, a comfortable individual lifestyle averages around $2,500 monthly. That's reasonable for Italy, especially on the coast. The connectivity is excellent, with an efficient train system linking to major European destinations. You can catch a train from Genoa's main station to local destinations like Portofino or international cities like Nice or Milan. There are ample beaches and small coastal towns nearby, offering water sports and recreational activities. The port of Genoa operates daily ferries to Sardinia, Corsica, Majorca, and Malta, making weekend island trips genuinely feasible. This connectivity gives you options that landlocked cities simply can't match. Genoa operates as a working port city, not a tourism showcase. It has gritty industrial elements alongside beautiful historic areas. The city doesn't present itself as picture-perfect Mediterranean. It's authentically Italian with all the complications that includes. The historic center is one of Europe's largest medieval quarters, genuinely fascinating, but also showing where. Some areas feel neglected, and there's been tension about urban development priorities between restoration and modernization. Genoa hasn't experienced the same level of international attention as other Italian cities, which means fewer expats and less English infrastructure. You'll need functional Italian to navigate daily life comfortably. The local dialect, Genoese, adds another complication, though standard Italian works fine. The weather is milder than southern Mediterranean cities, which some people prefer. You get 4 actual seasons rather than the endless summer of places like Cyprus.
Number 2. Barcelona, Spain. Europe's most visited Mediterranean city welcomes over 16 million tourists annually, and many visitors end up staying permanently. This creates vibrancy and diversity, but it also means Barcelona is extremely busy. If you're seeking peace and quiet, this isn't your destination. The city features dramatically different neighborhoods catering to every lifestyle preference, which explains its broad appeal. Social life is incredibly active, with established communities for retirees, digital nomads and co-working spaces, and everything in between. Safety is generally good, but Barcelona has significant issues with pickpocketing and tourist scams in crowded areas. It's not violent crime typically, but the petty theft is so common it's essentially expected. You need constant awareness in tourist zones and on public transportation. The biggest expense is housing. Average rent for a one-bedroom apartment ranges from $1,200 to $2,000 monthly, varying by neighborhood. Eating out and entertainment are expensive, while services and utilities often seem cheaper by comparison. Overall, monthly costs for comfortable living easily reach $2,500 to $3,000 for a single person. Barcelona has been ground zero for Spain's anti-tourism movement. In 2024 and 2025, there were protests, some turning confrontational, about over-tourism's impact on local life. Tourists have been sprayed with water guns, rental properties have been vandalized, and there's genuine resentment in some neighborhoods. The regional government has implemented restrictions on short-term rentals and is debating tourist limits. This might actually help long-term residents by easing housing pressure, but it's created an atmosphere where foreigners can encounter hostility, especially if perceived as tourists rather than residents. The bureaucratic challenges apply throughout Spain, but Barcelona adds Catalan regional complications. Many official processes occur in Catalan, not Spanish, and there's political tension about language and identity that occasionally affects daily life. Despite these issues, Barcelona offers unmatched culture, food, architecture, and Mediterranean access. If you can afford it and handle the crowds and complications, it remains an extraordinary city.
Number 1. Nice, France. The capital of France's Côte d'Azur offers what many consider the finest lifestyle on the Mediterranean. As a mid-sized city, Nice balances urban amenities with coastal living better than almost anywhere else. Quality of life rankings consistently place Nice at the top among Mediterranean cities. You're positioned perfectly for exploring the Riviera's famous spots, with Cannes, Saint-Tropez, and Monaco all a short train ride away. The train system along the coast is genuinely excellent, making the entire Riviera accessible without needing a car. The complications are real, though. Nice is heavily tourism-dependent, so the economy operates seasonally. Things slow dramatically in winter months, with some businesses closing entirely. This seasonal rhythm affects job availability and the city's energy. Cost of living is high, though slightly below Monaco and Cannes. A couple needs at minimum $4,000 monthly for comfortable living. That includes rent, which drives most of the expense, plus food, utilities, and regular costs. Nice is not a budget destination. The city has a long-established international community, including British, Australian, and American retirees, plus broader European presence. This means English is more common than in many French cities, though learning French dramatically improves your experience. French bureaucracy is legendarily complex. Residency permits, healthcare enrollment, and basic administrative tasks require patience, perfect paperwork, and often multiple attempts. The French system operates on its own logic, and fighting it is futile. You have to work within it, which tests many people's patience. Nice has experienced some social tension, particularly around immigration and integration issues that have affected France broadly. There have been occasional incidents and protests, though the city generally maintains stability. The beaches are pebbly, not sandy, which surprises many newcomers expecting Caribbean-style sand. The water is beautiful, but the beach experience is different than many imagine. Healthcare in France is excellent once you're properly enrolled in the system. Getting enrolled requires navigating bureaucracy, but the quality of care and reasonable costs make it worthwhile. The climate is genuinely pleasant, with mild winters and warm summers, without the extreme heat of southern Spain or Cyprus. The 300 days of sunshine statistic gets quoted frequently because it's accurate. Nice represents the premium Mediterranean lifestyle, with the costs and complications that entails. If you can afford it and handle French bureaucracy, it offers exceptional quality of life. So there you have it, 12 Mediterranean cities where you can actually settle in 2026, complete with the real costs, the bureaucratic nightmares, and yes, the genuine advantages that still make them appealing despite the complications. The Mediterranean lifestyle is real, but so are the challenges of over-tourism backlash, rising costs, and bureaucratic systems that seem designed to test your patience. Which of these cities matches what you're actually looking for, not just what looks good on Instagram? Drop a comment and let us know, especially if you've lived in any of these places and can confirm or contradict what we've covered. And if you found this breakdown helpful, subscribe, because we're cutting through the promotional nonsense on destinations worldwide.